Well, it tells me a lot of things. It actually depends the time of the day.
What?
It depends on
There's
the
something
time of the
going
day.
on? Who are these people? What is going on in here?
I
I'm
don't know.
trying to read my book.
Yeah, that's the title of your book, but I recognize the question you're asking me as well, isn't it?
Have you ever seen this book before?
No, never seen it before.
Well, it says, what is your poo telling you?
Yeah, I saw that.
What's your poo telling you?
Well, as I said, it depends on the time of the day.
That's right.
Yeah,
There's lots of different kinds of poo.
exactly.
We have deja poo.
Yeah,
We have what else? We have monster poo.
right, yes.
We have dunce cap poo.
I don't know that one.
I'm not sure I know that one either. We have the Chinese star.
Yeah, well, that I guess that one happens when you are traveling in Asia.
There's the clean sweep.
That one almost never happens.
Yeah.
There's one on here. There's one in here that says number 3.
Number 3 of the day?
Number 3.
Yeah.
It says, this is a very interesting one. I want to read this. It says, to understand number 3, one must understand the factors that are responsible for producing the prototypical Seminolis bolus. I don't know what that means, but it sounds awful.
Sounds awful and awesome.
Maybe that's what you have today, Kirk. The Seminolis bolus.
Basically, number 3 is butt piss, liquid poo, the runs, oil spill, Hershey squirts, Montezuma's revenge, chocolate thunder, diarrhea, Operation marination, Operation evacuation, release the hounds, the Nile, poo stew, chocolate slurpee, gravy poo, birds flying south for the winter, rectum rapids, it's raining poo, and deuce juice, which is my favorite.
My goodness.
Anyway, anyway, that's enough of that. That's it.
What, you know what type of book I'm reading now?
What? I'm sorry, Manu. What?
Do you know what type of book I'm reading now?
No.
It's a very different one from yours.
Okay.
Oh, I hope so.
I'm reading Einstein's biography.
Oh.
That's a step up from Kirk's reading level there.
Well, I feel stupid.
No,
I'm reading about poo, and Manu is reading about Einstein. That's why he is the man he is, and I am the man I am.
well, I tell you what. I mean, sometimes you really need to know more about pooing. I mean, it becomes useful.
This is true. You know,
It's a daily matter.
I have to admit, one of the things that's important is if you're not looking back in the toilet to see what's going on in there, then you don't know what's happened. You don't know what kind of things that you eat, you know, what things might be going on with your body. So you really do need to look back in there and see what's in there, because if you might find some things that are not good, then you need to go to the doctor.
Well, I'm afraid you're right.
I think there's a lot of people who are afraid to look in there because they're afraid to see what they are going to see. But
That is true.
It's important.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's important. Anyway, that's enough of that stuff. We got the bat phone ready to go. We got Rhonda's here, Ryan's here, and thank goodness for Manu, who's here. I'm excited to have him and have him on our show. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you guys for inviting me.
And we already have a phone call going. I don't know if you know how this works, Manu, but somebody's already called in on the bat phone. You know what? We're just sitting here talking about poo. Go ahead. This is Kirk.
Debbie Huntington just wants to say, you people are nuts. I know, Debbie.
We are nuts. I haven't seen any nuts in my poo, though, so that's a good thing, because I haven't eaten any nuts, and if I did see them, that would be more awkward. Anyway, we want to get on with the show. We want to talk to this very interesting gentleman who is friends with a friend of mine, Chris Davies. Of course, we want to talk about Chris because what a good man he is. Isn't he a great guy, Manu?
He's a great guy, and by the way, he asked me to send you regards.
Oh, yes, yes. So we're sad he couldn't be on the show with us, but we really wanted him to be.
Yeah,
really quickly, before we get too much into this, we want to give a shout-out to our sponsor, Strider Balance Bikes. We want to say hi to them. And thank you so much for all you do. And then also, Cali Protectives. And I'm wearing their shirt today.
Yeah, I use those helmets and the clothes.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, well, with the video we did in Malta, I was wearing their goodies, yes.
Oh, yeah, good helmets. Really good helmets.
Very good helmets, yes.
They make good stuff.
They do.
So, Manu, we want to get right into this show. I want to just, talk all about you, and let's figure out who this man is, this amazing fellow that we don't know. Now, where are you coming to us from? Where are you at right now?
I am in Andorra. As I was mentioning before, Andorra is a very small country in the Pyrenees, in between France and Spain.
That sounds like is it beautiful there? What's the weather like there now?
It's a beautiful place. It's all about mountains. I live at 1,100 meters, and I'm surrounded by mountains. Unfortunately, I can't show you anything now because it's dark outside. This is the winter season for us, as it is for you. I reckon all of you are in the States, and it's all snowy outside. Therefore, we're in the middle of the beginning of the winter season, and it's pretty good for skiing.
Are you a skier? Do you do a lot of skiing there?
I do a lot of skiing. Actually, skiing was the very first sport that I began to practice when I was a kid. Oh. So I ski, since I'm 4 years old.
When you started skiing, are you alpine skiing? Is that what type of skiing you're doing?
That's right. I began with alpine skiing, although I do a lot of ski de randonnée. I'm not sure how you call that one in English, but it's basically the ski touring, yeah.
Yeah, cross-country skiing we call it.
Cross-country skiing, yes, exactly.
All right, and so you started out being a skier. Not everybody knows, so tell us a little bit about you, all the sports that you do and all of the things, the adventures that you go on. What took you from skiing into these other adventures? What made you decide to be this adventurist?
Sure, I'll do that with pleasure. I basically practiced a lot of mountain sports until I was 18. I was born in Mendoza, which is a province on the west side of Argentina. Brian lived there for a while, and I moved to Europe when I was 24 after I graduated from university, and I lived for several years in Brussels, the capital of Belgium. And as I was living there, I continued to do my sports, but I was far away from the mountains. So one day I went to see a conference of Alain Hubert, which is an explorer that has been several times to the North Pole. And as I watched him and listened to him speak about his expeditions, I sort of began thinking that I wanted to do the same and pursue a life as an adventurer. So at the time, that was back in 2003, I began planning my first adventure that I was going to put out in the media, and that was to actually climb Aconcagua, which is the highest mountain in Argentina, and then ride downhill from the very top of the mountain with a mountain bike.
Oh, yes.
I couldn't do that because it was forbidden in that mountain, as there's a lot of people climbing the mountain during the summer season. But I did it in another mountain to the north part of Argentina, which is only 60 meters lower than Aconcagua, and it's the highest active volcano in the world, which is called Ojos del Salado. So in 2004, I reached the summit with a bicycle on my backpack. The summit is 6,890 meters, approx, and I rode downhill from the top, from the summit. Wow. So that was my very first sort of international adventure, or an adventure that became known in the media. And then in 2005, I made a small documentary about exactly that. So I went back to the same region, that's the Atacama Desert on the northern part of Argentina, and I climbed another two volcanoes. I shot a documentary, and then since then I began riding a lot of bicycles in endurance races in Central America. So I went to Central America for 5 years in a row. That took me to scuba diving as well. I began scuba diving, and so I can say over the last 11 years, I basically spent my time in between mountain biking, scuba diving, and mountaineering.
Can I just say, can I say real quick, if anybody would love to see some photos of what Manu's talking about, he has a website and it's listed in the description. There's some beautiful photos.
Oh, yes, absolutely breathtaking. Awesome stuff. Now, how did you meet Chris Davies? I'm just kind of curious how you got together with Chris.
Well, 2 years ago, I participated in a competition to go to work to Australia. You might have heard about the competition called The Best Job in the World.
Yes.
And I needed to open up several social media platforms. So one of the platforms that I began using was Instagram. And I believe that Chris found me through Instagram. He saw a couple of mountain biking photos. And well, he sent me a message. You know that Chris is very much into mountain biking as well. And he came to Andorra. That was 2 summers ago, and we did our first work together in one of the mountain bike parks in the ski resorts here. So the ski resorts during the summer season they become mountain bike parks, which
That's
are quite good.
We do the same thing here.
Exactly, I know you do the same there, and that's pretty cool. So we took a lot of photos together, and that became also a story for the magazine that we both work for, which is called Sidetrack. I reckon you have seen it as well. It's the UK-based mag. And well, I think that we established not only a working relationship with Chris, but also a friendly relationship. We became friends, and I appreciate and admire him a lot as a person.
Yes, yes, me too. We spent some time with him here in Moab, and we became instant friends. It was just fun. All of us, we just had such a good time.
He's a great guy, yes.
Yes, very much so. So I saw the video that you guys produced. It was fabulous. It's just I can't even say. I've seen a lot of mountain bike videos that had a lot of character. It was well done.
Thank you very much. I think that most of the credit has to go to Chris. This is his first video production. And he speaks very highly about his capacity as a professional. On the other hand, the islands that we visited, which are Gozo and Malta, as you saw in the video, only 60 km south of Sicily, in the middle of the Mediterranean, are so beautiful and so rich in history, and landscapes are, well, you saw it on the video, that it wasn't really very difficult to come out with a good video, because it was a great place to be.
Yeah, it's beautiful there. So, have you got anything planned for this upcoming year? Anything exciting that's coming up we should know about?
Yeah, we got 2 projects on the pipeline. I can't tell you anything about the locations yet because we are discussing about it, but we will be certainly doing more mountain biking videos that they will become the part 2 and part 3, or episode 2 and episode 3. Malta is the very first one, and I'm very much also looking forward to do a scuba diving video with Chris. Although he doesn't really scuba dive, but I want him to be the producer and somehow put the images together. So if that happens, we're going to have 3 new documentaries coming up this year in 2015.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, I know you're a busy guy, but you're, of course, welcome to come with us to Moab. I don't know if that fits in your schedule, but you're more than welcome to come with us, and we'd love to have you. So.
I would love that. I've been several times to the States. I have family living in the States, but all the time that I'm there, I'm visiting the east side. So I would love to move to the west. I reckon that Moab is on the west, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's not far from us here in Utah.
There you are.
We've been talking about doing another trip again this year, and it'll happen around the same time in September, and we'd love to have you. It'd be great. Great fun.
Thank you very much. I'd love to be there. I'm certainly going to have a word with Chris about it.
Yes, yes, we'd be love to do that. So we were talking about this while Chris was here, that you've done all these adventures and all these things have happened. He said you've got some stories that would just curl our hair, and I thought maybe you'd want to tell us a few. I don't know if that's an expression that you use over there, but over here we say if it's going to curl your hair, then that's scary stories. Have you had any experiences that you want to share with us from some of these adventures?
Yeah, I would love to share plenty of them, but how many hours do you have?
Well, pick a couple of your favorites because I got to go to work. I mean, I'd love to just talk to you all day, man. I could do that. We'll have to catch up again, but we got about, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, let me ask you a question first. What kind of story do you want to hear? Is a story above the water, underwater, on the mountains?
How about one mountain biking one and one underwater one, and both scary?
Both scary. Okay, I'll start with the mountain biking one.
I love how he already knows what he's going to talk about.
Well, when
oh my goodness, what is that watch that you have on?
That's a soon to watch.
Oh my goodness, look at that thing.
That's cool.
Yeah, well, I began working with Sunto 11 years ago, so this is actually my oldest sponsor.
Wow.
And the story goes as follows. When we climb Ojos del Salado, sorry, this is a year after in Incahuasi, which is a volcano in the Atacama Desert. It's got 6,661 meters. And
so in feet, that's probably about 20,000 feet, is that right?
That's about 20,000 feet, yes.
Yeah, okay.
That's right. So several things happened on the downhill. It began to snow on the days before we reached the summit, so some part of the volcano could not ride downhill because the bike, was sinking in the snow. But in the lower parts of the volcano, at about 5,000 meters, the cameraman with whom I was working, we had radios, and so he said, well, I'm going to walk away from you. I'm going to try to be like 300 meters away from you to get a better shot of the entire mountain and you riding downhill. And I began moving away from him as well. So I eventually reached a ridge where I couldn't see what I had below me because it was a stony ridge. And so he radioed me and he said, hey Manu, I see that there's a giant slope behind you, or below you, and it will look great if you can ride downhill. So I answered back to him and said, the problem is I don't see it. It was like probably 200 meters below me, and I didn't want to walk because I was already using the mountain biking shoes and so on. And he said, well, I understand that, but it's quite steep, but I think that you can ride it. And I said, well, what happens if I get into the slope and I can't brake? He said, well, it's about 500 to 600 meters wide, so you're going to have to ride the whole section until you reach a flat part of the slope. So I thought about it for a while, and I said, well, we're here, we're making this documentary, I should ride it. And so I began riding those 200 meters, and as I entered into the steep part of the slope, I realized that if I brake, I was going to lose momentum, and there were so many stones that I would fall. So I basically just let go, and I let go of the brakes, and that was the fastest probably ride I ever done downhill. And so I have to eventually do what he said. I have to ride for 500-600 meters without braking, and basically just steering around the stones until I could reach a section where I could actually brake and become to a halt.
Wow. That's a scary feeling.
It was so scary that I remember when I came to a halt, I got off the bike and I was shaking. My entire body was shaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't even imagine. That sounds like something I want to try but don't want to try.
But at the same time, it was great because think about it. It's an entire volcano in the Atacama Desert, and it was only that mountain, the bike, and myself. There was no one else riding there. Just the cameraman a few hundred meters away. So it's not like riding in the bike park.
If you would have been injured, Manu, you would have been in really big trouble. Right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. There was no way that we could get out of there quickly. Yeah, we knew that. We knew that. So I was always very careful, except that very only time I wasn't careful. But all the other downhills, they were very much planned and studied before I actually got onto the bike.
Wow, that's a good story. I love mountain bike stories like that, especially on a volcano, especially with nobody else around and a cameraman. I want to
Exactly.
be you. I just want to be you, Manu. You want to come run my bike shop and I can go be you? I don't
You
know.
don't want to be me. You want to be you, but you probably want to come together. You want to go together to that volcano. It's a beautiful area. I think that Ryan mentioned that he's been there. He's been to Catamarca.
Yes, he did spend some time in Argentina, and he did mention that.
Yeah. And then underwater, I never really had a very, very scary moment, except just once where I felt I was going to drown, but just because my mind wasn't in the right setting. I was scuba diving in Ibiza. Ibiza, do you know where is Ibiza? Yeah. No. It's a small island in the Mediterranean. Became very, very famous because of a party that runs in the island. But it's also got some great diving, and there's the largest shipwreck in the Mediterranean. So you can dive for several dives or consecutive dives, and then you won't still cover the entire shipwreck because it's so large. And I wasn't feeling very well the night before we dove, but I already had lined up filming. Also, I made a small film about that one. So I had a cameraman waiting for me that morning, and I entered into the water with a massive headache.
Oh no.
And as we were down at 40 meters, he asked me to penetrate the wreck, sort of take a turn around an entry. So he gave me the sign, and I did it. But as I entered into the wreck and the entire lighting changed, I couldn't see much. I felt I was going to drown. That's basically my mind was going crazy. Yeah, well, one side of my brain was telling me, go up, go up, go up, you're going to drown. And the other one was telling me, you can't do that because you're going to die if you do that. And basically, you can get the bends if you are so deep down. And it was the entire diving was a fight between my right-hand side of the brain and my left-hand side that I shouldn't go up, and eventually I went through the entire bottle of air in only 30 minutes, so we had to cancel the dive. Yeah, but again, that was due to my mind only.
Well, you get in those types of situations in some things that are precarious and dangerous like that, and your mind goes all kinds of different places.
Yes.
And I've learned a little bit in some of the things that I've done that you have to say to your mind, hey, we got to just calm down here and just relax for a minute. Otherwise, we're going to end up on the news. Is what we're going to end up.
That's true, but that's the magic about doing adventures and sports of this type, because you need to talk a lot to yourself in those moments.
Yeah. Have you ever had a time when you're doing in an event or doing something and you thought maybe you couldn't quite finish it, or you just were fatigued and didn't want to continue on anymore, but you kept going and then finally you finished? Did you ever have one of those type of moments?
Oh yes, several times. In particular, doing mountaineering. Yeah, it has happened several times, and also in bicycle races. As I said, I went for 5 years in a row to Central America for endurance races, and I believe it was in the second year that I was in the same race, I got lost.
Oh, yeah.
And instead of finishing in 4 hours, which was the average time, I finished in 7 hours, and I was the last rider to cross the finish line. Everyone was looking for me. I was lost in the Costa Rican forest.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I rode the bike for 7 hours. But at the same time, I had to say that although I was completely knackered that night, as I was riding the bike, I adrenaline kept me going. So I do remember, riding hard and trying to find the way back to the circuit. That was a great feeling. And again, I was on my own in the middle of the forest with the monkeys and all that stuff in the forest.
I love how you say that like it's no big deal at all. I was lost in the forest with monkeys.
Well, those are probably the moments. Yeah, I understand that, Rhonda, but those are the moments that you appreciate the most once you look back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is so true. I'm glad you said that because I've had something like that happen to me a few times, and even though you're last or that you don't finish with any medals or there's nobody there waiting for you when you get back, sometimes those experiences are the ones you can reflect back on and draw from when things aren't going so well for you.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
There's a big life lesson in that for sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. That's exciting stuff. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm so excited. I would just love it if you could come over here and go to Moab. Chris and I have talked about us actually coming over there to Europe and spending some time over there and doing some projects with you and with him. And I'm looking forward to those times when we can meet up and do that, because that, from what I've read, and hey, I'm a huge fan of Chris Davies, and if he says that you're a great guy, you're a great guy. So I'm excited to meet up with you. So,
Kirk?
Yes, sir.
Guys, I lost you.
Did you lose us?
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Oh, now you're back.
We're back. We've always been here, but sometimes we lose each other. But we've always been here, and you've always been there.
Yeah, exactly. I think that the last words I heard was that we should get together, whether it's there or you come here and work together with Chris, right?
Yes. He's such a great guy, and if he says you're a great guy, you're a great guy. So I'm okay with that.
Thank you very much.
Is there any other things you've got going? Any other projects you've got going you wanted to tell us about?
I'm very excited about the project I just finished. I spent 6 weeks in Australia a couple of months ago, and I was scuba diving in the Great Barrier Reef. And whether it's scuba diving or mountain biking or doing anything on the mountains, I always say the same, that I began practicing sports, as I told you a few minutes ago, skiing when I was only 4 years old. And then I think that sports took me to adventures. And finally, adventures, they have very much opened my mind about the problems we have in the world going on nowadays, such as the lack of sustainable living. So I've been fortunate enough to see sunsets at 21,000 feet, as well as to dive in several different reef ecosystems in the world. And so I've basically seen the range of life, whether you are very high on a mountain or quite deep in the ocean. And I think that's one of the most important things about doing sports and doing any type of adventure. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to travel far away. There's always a hidden corner somewhere around behind your house, even in your garden. But the point of being close to nature is very important to humans nowadays, because we're losing more and more that sort of touch with nature as we tend to work in offices, office spaces, and the capitalism of the economy nowadays doesn't really allow us to see what we're doing to the planet we live in. So I spent 6 weeks in Australia, and I produced a small documentary about the impact that the coal industry is having in the Great Barrier Reef. And that is one of the many reasons, perhaps nowadays the most important one, why such a magnificent ecosystem in the world is being destroyed, and we are running the risk of losing the Great Barrier Reef if the coal industry carry on pushing the development of more ports in order to take coal out of Australia and then ship that coal to India and China. So it was a very touching and moving experience to spend time with the people who are involved in the fight And I'm saying the fight because there's a big movement now called Fight for the Reef. It's a campaign. So again, I'm really, really thankful to sports and to adventures that they're all giving me the chance of participating in projects such as that one. Doing what I love. I continue to ride a bicycle or to climb a mountain or to scuba dive, but getting closer to expeditions or adventures that they really matter.
Oh, thanks for letting us know that. Yeah, I'm excited about stuff like that too. You know, you're right. I think we get so busy doing everything but what's important. I struggle with that a lot. Every time I turn around, I see something and I think, how can I figure out a way to not do what I'm doing and go and help and do something else? And a lot of it has to do with have to make money and support myself. You know, that has a lot to do with it. But wouldn't it be neat if we could be like Manu and have an opportunity to go and save the world and somebody pay us to do it? I mean, I'm telling you, I want to be this guy.
Well, I'm not saving the world. I think that it's important that you find small places, small corners where you can have an impact.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and it's a little bit at a time. Like you said, you know, you're working on one project, and then you have to do a little bit here and there. You can't. I guess when I say save the world, I mean that generally. But you know, we can do a little bit at a time, and many people together can do a lot. So.
That's right. That's right.
Well,
finishing with bicycles, as you know, there's a very large movement that began in the States, actually in Chicago, that is run by SRAM, you know, the bike products manufacturers.
Yes.
That is called World Bicycle Relief. And these guys are doing a great job. I think that's a very good example of how industries can become more socially responsible and have an impact by continue doing what they do, because they produce bicycles and somehow they have transformed that business side or business unit into an NGO.
Yes, very good stuff. I have one of their T-shirts when I was down at Interbike. I got one of their T-shirts while I was down there.
Great.
For that very thing, bicycle relief. So, Manu, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and hang out with us. I would love to spend some more time with you. You've got all these questions to ask you. Our time is short, but I would love to spend some more time with you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for inviting me, and you know, we can do another good hangout anytime, or eventually meet in person. That would be even better one day, and carry on talking.
Yes, let's do that for sure. And you know, like Manu said, your adventure starts right outside your door. It doesn't have to be to the Great Barrier Reef. It doesn't have to be on top of a 20,000-foot mountain. It just takes that one step. Just walk outside your door and start an adventure. It doesn't have to be that big, but just start something. Try something new. Go on an adventure. Walk around the block if you haven't been around the block yet. Whatever that means, that may be something you're a little bit afraid of, try something new. Because that's where the adventure starts, and everybody needs to do something like that. And who knows, maybe it'll lead into something else. Maybe you'll become maybe more like Manu, or more like somebody else that is doing good for the world. So I leave with that, and hope that the rest of you have a great holiday, because we won't see you until after the holidays. But thank you, Manu, for coming on. Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, Ryan, for being here but not being here. I don't know what happened to Ryan. He just disappeared.
Ryan had a meeting.
Oh, did he? Okay, well, we'll excuse him for that. And
can I shout out the audience real quick before we go?
Absolutely, please do.
All right. Hello, John Garrett. Thank you for joining us. That would be his first time with us. Carmen, hello, girlfriend. And Jessica, Cheryl, and I'm scrolling. And Debbie, the girls from the Craft Star, in the audience, and Tim Longwell's with us. So hello, guys, and thank you for joining us. And
yes,
thank you, Manuel.
Thank you so much. Thanks for all your support. Manu, pleasure again, and have a enjoyable holiday, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, guys. I wish you Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. You as well. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.